And so China, with a good leadership over the last 30 years, started with Deng Xiaoping and then later with others such as Zhu Rongji, it certainly has produced miracles. But whether it is sustainable or not is the big question. If I believe that it is sustainable, I would not be looking for an institutional way out. It is for that precise reason that I think the Chinese system has inherent instability in it, that it may not be sustainable, that we need to learn from a page of the Western civilization and build some institutions. So I think while we are enamored, while we are praising the Chinese for all its accomplishment, let's also not be overly excited about it, because China may yet run into difficulties.
There's a question of...
Ronnie, if crime and prejudice is a bad combination, so is fear and loathing.
Fear and... Loathing, yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of the best ways to build a bridge between two dominant economies is through business. And even then we have a problem. In fact, we have a China problem in the sense that if you look at clean energy, for instance, we accuse China of subsidizing solar companies that are sending our own solar companies broke. Now, that's hardly a perception problem, as you suggest. Being a business leader, what might you suggest as being useful initiatives that can build more bridges between these two?
I only accept half of your premise that businessmen are good bridges. I think businessmen can be good bridges, but businessmen also have its limitations. And at the end of the day, corporate interests or, in some cases, national interests can come into play and interfere in the business leaders. I believe that I am fully for business interaction, no question about it. But I think that we need to supplement it with something like idea exchange. And that's why I'm involved in the Asian Society. Organization of that sort, I think, can bring ideas from one to the other and back, such that there can be a better understanding, both in a root form of such as civilizational issues, cultural issues, historic issues, as well as today's, upfront issues. So I hope that all the businessmen, while doing business, which is a good way to bridge to some extent, will also participate in Asia Society or some other organization.
Center for Pacific Rim.
Center for Pacific Rim, of course. I'm just laying the way for
Thank you.
Angelina.
Yes, the gentleman in the middle.
Somewhat related, it was 600 years ago that Zheng He stopped the last and the great exploration of China around the rest of the world to see what China could find that they had to offer. Today, those of us that are here in the U.S. and involved in business with China, the wave of interest from the Chinese to invest in America is unprecedented. Whether that's buying technology, natural resources, real estate, you name it, it's a huge wave. And as you may know, Ambassador Locke, with a mandate from Obama, just launched a program called Select USA. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Ronnie. What is the reality of that? Is that just political speak, or are we going to really push for that and allow China to make some serious investments here in the U.S. that I believe could create thousands and thousands of jobs?
Well, let me take off from your first statement about Zheng He, Emperor Zheng He, 600 years ago. Isn't it amazing? Zheng He went all the way to East Africa and the Gulf states and did not take one single inch of land from anybody. He only brought back some giraffes, I was told. What did the West do? The West came to Asia, colonized us, took our natural resources, and become our master. Now, who's talking now? Who has the moral authority? Now, it's amazing that the West is now preaching down on us Asians, that you should be this, you should be that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if your own history, give you the right or position to say that. So I think that we all need to put things in perspective. So thank you for bringing up.
Okay, one last question, please. And I would prefer to give it to a student. Is there a student question? No? All right, this gentleman here.
So at the start of your talk, you mentioned Baidu and Google, and there are other examples of parallel development like Weibo and Twitter and eBay and Alibaba
Well, I think many American companies or Western companies in general certainly have a lot more creativity, and they are ahead just time-wise. They started earlier, and the technology is better, right? So China being a relatively open market, you know, you can be there. If Google did a good job in the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years, they would not be in the position where it is today, because all the local companies have the same restraint. It's just a better management versus worse management, right? As far as the Chinese company going out, which also go back to this gentleman's question that began with Zheng He, the Chinese, most of them, from my personal experience, okay, the brightest Chinese are not in the international arena yet. Why? Because, allow me a Chinese, 逐鹿中原, which is a Chinese saying that says, whoever gets the center of China gets the world. But of course, that was in the old days when China used to be the center of the world, right? But nonetheless, that kind of mentality is, let me get China first. If you cannot establish yourself in China, forget about the rest of the world. China is a market that you know. If you cannot be a dominant player there, forget about the rest of the world. You have a better chance in China because you are Chinese than you are with all the lawyers from Washington, D.C. or wherever, right? And then you look at Sinopec trying to buy Unico and so forth, and say, hey, you know, I'm scared. So, you know, why bother to go out? In some industry, they have no choice. You know, a lot of, you know, natural resource, as well as natural resource companies being purchased, that is inevitable, right? That's also national interest as well. But for the most part, the companies that have yet to dominate the Chinese market, I would say are pretty dumb to go overseas. Let me cite you two cases. One is Huawei, the technology. They dominated the Chinese market. So now they are ready to go to the international market, and they have done quite well. Another one is, sorry to say this, Lenovo. Before they dominated the Chinese market, they went overseas and buy IBM PC division. Now, is that a success? I think it's still the jury is out, right? But I suppose, you know, well, anyway, so I don't want to go into too much detail. Suffice to say that they are not there. Most of the Chinese companies are not outside yet. But in due course, certainly in your lifetime, and maybe in mine as well, we'll see them coming. And I just hope that the West will have the right mentality, the right aptitude, and the right attitude at that time, right? To not think that, wow, the yellow peril is coming. Hey, you are the one that advocated globalization. Of course, the West advocated globalization in order for the Western companies to enter into the Asian market, the developing economies. But then little did they expect that, wow, bingo, all those guys turn out to be coming back the other direction. Hey, the world got to be fair, right? So let's keep that in mind, shall we? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. So, Mr. Ronnie Chan, you've been most gracious in giving us so much of your time, as well as your sharing us with your thoughts. I think that the audience are eager to pick your thoughts some more. And we have a reception out there where we can perhaps mingle with Mr. Chan some more. We do have to vacate this room in a minute. And let us give Mr. Chan another round of applause. And what a privilege to have him here, and also what a privilege to host you as well. Thank you.